My name is Faye. I'm 54 years old, and I raised my son alone after my husband died when he was just 3. I always believed family meant standing together. My sister Eleanor thought differently. She measured worth in dollar signs and designer labels. At her daughter's wedding, she made it crystal clear where my son and I stood. But she had no idea who she was really dealing with. If you've ever been underestimated by your own family, you'll understand this. Drop a comment letting me know where you're watching from, and hit that subscribe button, because what happened next changed everything. I became a widow at 30 years old. One moment I had a husband, a partner, a future. The next moment I was alone with a 3-year-old boy and a mountain of medical bills. My husband Tom had been a teacher. We never had much money, but we had love. We had plans. Then cancer took him in 6 months flat. Eleanor, my older sister by 4 years, came to the funeral. She stood in the back, wearing a black Chanel suit, her husband Gerald beside her in his expensive wool coat. They stayed for 20 minutes, offered their condolences, and left before the reception. I remember watching their Mercedes pull away, feeling more alone than I'd ever felt in my life. I worked as a nurse at County General Hospital. The pay was modest, but it was honest work. I loved my patients. I loved making a difference in their lives, even if it was just holding someone's hand during a difficult procedure or making sure an elderly patient had someone to talk to. I worked double shifts whenever I could, picking up extra hours on weekends and holidays. Daniel, my son, spent a lot of time with babysitters and after-school programs, but we made it work. Daniel was a brilliant kid. He earned scholarships, worked part-time jobs through high school and college. We lived in a small apartment with second-hand furniture. I drove a 15-year-old sedan that broke down regularly. We ate simple meals, shopped at thrift stores, and made every dollar stretch. Eleanor, meanwhile, married a man who owned a successful real estate development company. They lived in a gated community with a pool and a 3-car garage. Her daughter Natalie grew up with riding lessons, European vacations, and a closet full of designer clothes. Over the years, Eleanor and I grew apart. She was always too busy for phone calls, too busy for visits. When I invited her to Daniel's college graduation, she sent a card with $50 inside. She didn't come. The wedding invitation arrived in late July, 3 weeks after everyone else received theirs. I found it in my mailbox on a Tuesday evening after a 12-hour shift. The envelope was thick, expensive paper. Inside, an embossed invitation announced the wedding of Natalie Eleanor Hayes to Bradley James Morrison III. The ceremony would be held at Seaside Cliff Resort, one of the most expensive venues in the state. I called Eleanor that night. She answered on the 4th ring, her voice distant and distracted. "Faye, I was going to call you." "I just got the invitation," I said. "Thank you for including us." "Well, Natalie wanted to keep it small, but I told her we couldn't exclude you. You're family after all." The words stung, but I pushed the feeling aside. "Daniel and I are looking forward to it." There was a pause. "Yes, well, it's going to be quite an event. Very formal. High society, you know. Just try to blend in, okay? I don't want any awkwardness." I gripped the phone tighter. "What do you mean, Faye?" "You know what I mean, Faye. It's important to me that everything goes smoothly. This is Natalie's big day." After we hung up, I sat in my kitchen for a long time, staring at the invitation. Daniel came home from work and found me there. He was 27 years old, then handsome like his father, with the same kind eyes. "What's wrong, Mum?" I showed him the invitation. He read it, his jaw tightening. "You don't have to go," he said. "She's my sister. She treats you like garbage. She's still family, Daniel. Family is family." He looked at me with an expression I couldn't quite read. "You're too good for them, Mum." The next day I went shopping for a dress. I walked through the department stores looking at price tags that made my stomach clench. Finally, I found something at a discount store. A simple navy dress, nothing fancy, but clean and appropriate. $35 on sale. It would have to do. The morning of the wedding, Daniel came over to my apartment. He was wearing clean jeans, a pressed white shirt and a dark blazer. No tie, no fancy suit. He looked neat and respectable, but I knew Eleanor would notice. She always noticed. As I zipped up my navy dress, Daniel appeared in my doorway. "Mom, are you sure you want to go? You know how Aunt Eleanor is." "She's still my sister, honey. Family is family." Daniel's expression shifted, something conflicted, crossing his features. "Mom, I need to tell you something." Before he could continue, my phone rang. The hospital. They needed someone to cover an emergency shift the next day. I took the call, and when I turned back, Daniel had that closed-off look he got sometimes. "What were you going to say?" He shook his head. "Never mind. It can wait." We drove to Seaside Cliff Resort in my old sedan. The engine made a rattling sound that embarrassed me, but there was nothing to be done about it. The resort sat on a stretch of pristine coastline, all manicured lawns and white pavilions. As we pulled into the parking area, I saw rows of luxury cars. Mercedes BMWs, even a few Ferraris. I parked in the far corner next to the service entrance. My car looked like it belonged to the catering staff. Daniel reached over and squeezed my hand. "Here we go." I squeezed back. "I've got you. Always." We walked across the vast lawn toward the ceremony site. A white tent billowed in the sea breeze. Flower arrangements taller than me flanked the entrance. A string quartet played soft classical music. Guests milled about in evening gowns and tailored suits, champagne flutes in their hands. Everyone looked like they'd stepped out of a luxury magazine. I became acutely aware of my $35 dress. A young woman in a black uniform approached us carrying a clipboard. "Good afternoon. May I have your names?" "Faye Carter and Daniel Carter." She scanned her list, her finger moving down the page slowly, too slowly. "Oh, yes, you're at table 15. Table 15. I glanced toward the ceremony area where round tables were arranged in concentric circles. "Could you tell me where that is?" Her smile was polite but strained. "Near the back, by the kitchen entrance." "But we're family," I said quietly. She shrugged. "I just follow the seating chart, ma'am. Table 15 is right through there." She pointed toward a section partially hidden by a tall hedge. Daniel's hand tightened on my arm. "Mom, it's fine," I said, though my throat felt tight. "Let's just find our seats." Table 15 sat in the furthest corner of the dining area, so close to the kitchen doors, I could hear the clatter of dishes and the shouts of the catering staff. The view of the ceremony arch was blocked by a decorative pillar. While other tables had elaborate centerpieces with roses and orchids, ours had a single small vase with 3 carnations. The other people at our table were strangers, a middle-aged couple who nodded politely but didn't introduce themselves, an elderly man who appeared to be asleep, a young woman texting on her phone, clearly bored. I sat down carefully, smoothing my dress. Daniel sat beside me, his jaw clenched. "We can leave," he whispered. "No, if we leave, they win. They'll say we couldn't handle it." "Who cares what they say? I care. I won't give them the satisfaction." The ceremony began. From our distant vantage point, I could barely see Natalie as she walked down the aisle. She looked beautiful, I'm sure. Her dress probably cost more than I made in 3 months. The officiant's words were muffled by distance and the noise from the kitchen. I watched Eleanor sitting in the front row, her shoulders back, her head high. She wore a champagne-colored silk dress that probably cost thousands. Her jewelry sparkled in the afternoon light. She looked like royalty. I thought about my own wedding 28 years ago. We'd gotten married in a small church with folding chairs and grocery store flowers. My dress came from a consignment shop. We served sheet cake and punch in the fellowship hall. My mother was still alive then. She'd held my hand before I walked down the aisle and told me she was proud of me. Eleanor had been my maid of honor. She was 23, then still kind, still the sister I'd grown up with. When had money changed her? Or had it just revealed who she always was? After the ceremony, guests moved to the reception area. A massive buffet stretched along one wall. Lobster tails, prime rib, shrimp towers. A champagne fountain sparkled near the entrance. Waiters circulated with trays of hors d'oeuvres. Daniel and I got in line for food. I was hungry. I'd been too nervous to eat breakfast. That's when I heard the laughter. Natalie stood near the champagne fountain with 3 friends. They were all around her age, mid-20s, dressed in expensive gowns. One wore emeralds at her throat. Another had a handbag I recognized from a magazine spread. $5,000 for a purse. The girl with the emeralds pointed in our direction. "Oh my God, who are they? They look so out of place." Natalie followed her gaze. When she saw Daniel and me, something flickered across her face. Not quite embarrassment, something colder. "That's my aunt and cousin," she said, her voice carrying. "Mom felt obligated to invite them." Another girl, a redhead with a diamond bracelet, wrinkled her nose. Obligated, they looked like they wandered in from a yard sale. The group erupted in laughter. Sharp, cruel laughter that cut through the string quartet's gentle music. I stood frozen, my empty plate trembling in my hands. My face burned. Around us, other guests turned to look. Some smirked. Others looked away, quickly embarrassed for me. Daniel set down his plate with a sharp click. He started toward Natalie's group, but I grabbed his arm. "Don't." "Mom, they're insulting you." "Let it go, please." But Daniel pulled free. He walked right up to Natalie and her friends. His voice was quiet but firm. "That's my mother you're talking about." Natalie rolled her eyes. "Relax, Daniel. We're just having fun. Insulting people is fun to you. Look, it's my wedding. If you can't handle a joke, maybe you shouldn't be here." I hurried over my heels, clicking on the marble floor. "Daniel, please. Let's just go back to our table." Natalie's friend, the redhead, looked me up and down with undisguised disdain. "Seriously, where did you get that dress? Walmart?" The emerald necklace girl snorted. "Be nice, Courtney. Maybe it was a thrift store. Very economical." They laughed again. My vision blurred with tears I refused to shed. "Come on, Mom." Daniel's voice was thick with anger. "We're leaving." "No." I straightened my spine. "We're not leaving. We're staying." Natalie smirked. "Yeah, Daniel. Listen to your mom. Be grateful you're even invited." Before Daniel could respond, Eleanor appeared. She wore her perfect hostess smile, but her eyes were sharp. "Girls, go mingle with the other guests. I'll handle this." Natalie and her friends drifted away, still giggling. Eleanor waited until they were out of earshot, then turned to me. Her smile vanished. "Did you have to make a scene?" I stared at her. "Make a scene, Eleanor. They insulted us. They're young, they don't know better. But you should know your place." The words hit like a slap. My place. "Yes, your place. Do you know how embarrassing this is for me? You show up looking like that, and then you cause drama. I can't afford designer clothes, Eleanor. I work double shifts to support my son. And whose fault is that? You chose to marry a man with no money. You chose this life." Daniel stepped between us. "Don't talk to my mother like that." Eleanor's gaze shifted to Daniel, cold and assessing. "You should teach your son some respect, Faye." She turned and walked away, her silk dress swishing behind her. I stood there shaking. Daniel put his arm around me. "Mom, please, let's go home." "No." My voice came out stronger than I felt. "If we leave now, they win. They'll tell everyone we couldn't handle being here, that we don't belong. I won't give them that. Who cares what they think? I care. I've spent my whole life being looked down on by her. Not today. Today I stand my ground." We walked back to table 15. I couldn't eat. The food on my plate blurred together. Around us, the reception continued. People laughed, danced, celebrated. No one looked our way. We might as well have been invisible. An hour into the reception, Eleanor's friend Pamela approached our table. I remembered her from family gatherings years ago. She'd always been condescending, but wealth had made it worse. "Faye, darling." Her voice dripped with false sweetness. "I heard you're still nursing. How noble. We need people willing to do those kinds of jobs." The implication was clear. Nursing was beneath her. Beneath all of them. Daniel's knuckles went white around his water glass. My mother saves lives. Pamela's smile never wavered. Of course she does. It's wonderful to have purpose even in humble positions. She walked away before I could respond. I felt something inside me crack. Not break, just crack. Like a dam developing its first small fissure. Daniel leaned close. This ends now. I should have done this a long time ago. What are you talking about? Before he could answer, a sound cut through the reception noise. A car horn, long and deliberate. Guests near the windows turned to look outside. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. I couldn't see from our corner, but I heard someone say, "Is that a limousine?" Daniel stood abruptly. His expression was calm, but I saw something else there. Resolution. Maybe relief. "Daniel, what's happening?" "Just wait, Mom." The murmurs grew louder. More guests moved toward the windows. Natalie, in the middle of her first dance, stopped and looked annoyed. Then the reception hall doors opened. A man stepped inside. Middle-aged, wearing a crisp black suit. He moved with quiet authority, his eyes scanning the room. The room fell silent. Even the band stopped playing. The man's gaze locked onto our table, onto Daniel. He walked directly to us, weaving through the tables. Every eye in the room followed him. He stopped in front of Daniel and bowed slightly. "Sir, it's time." The silence was absolute. I looked at Daniel. What is he talking about? Daniel closed his eyes briefly, then opened them. "Mom, I'm sorry. I should have told you a long time ago." The man in the black suit remained standing at our table, waiting patiently. Daniel stood, and I grabbed his hand. "Daniel, what is going on?" Natalie pushed through the crowd, her wedding dress rustling. "Excuse me, who are you? This is a private event." The man turned to her with polite indifference. "I'm here for Mr. Carter." "Mr. Carter?" Natalie laughed. "You mean Daniel? What did he call a car service because he can't afford a real car?" Some guests snickered. Others pulled out their phones, sensing drama. The driver's expression didn't change. "No, ma'am. I'm here for Mr. Daniel Carter, CEO of Carter Tech Solutions." The snickering stopped. Courtney, Natalie's friend with the emeralds, gasped. She was staring at her phone. Wait, oh my God. What?" Natalie grabbed the phone from her hand. I watched my niece's face drain of color as she looked at whatever was on that screen. Courtney's voice rose with excitement. "Natalie, that's the Daniel Carter. He was just featured in Forbes last month. His company closed a $200 million deal with 3 major tech firms. He's on the 30 under 30 list." Around us, phones came out. I heard the whispers growing. Daniel Carter, the software guy. I read about him in Fortune magazine. Eleanor pushed through the crowd. When she saw the driver, confusion crossed her face. "What is this, Faye? What's going on?" I couldn't speak. I looked at my son, really looked at him. He stood there in his simple clothes, looking exactly like the boy I'd raised. But everyone around us was seeing something different. "Daniel," I finally managed. "Is this true?" He turned to me, his eyes full of apology. "Mom, I'm sorry I didn't tell you everything." "Everything? What everything?" He took a breath. "I started my company 6 years ago. I built it from nothing, working out of a garage just like we always talked about. It grew faster than I expected. Much faster." 6 years. My mind reeled. "You've been successful for 6 years and didn't tell me. I wanted to tell you. So many times, but I knew what would happen. What would happen? You'd worry. You'd feel guilty about all the years you struggled. You'd try to give all your money away to everyone who needed it. You'd change who you are." His words hit me. Because he was right. I would have done all of those things. "And," he continued, "I wanted to build something I could be proud of on my own terms, without anyone's expectations or judgments. I wanted you to be proud of me for who I am, not for what I have." Tears filled my eyes. "I've always been proud of you." Eleanor found her voice. "Wait, this is impossible. Faye, your son is just a regular person. He can't be some millionaire CEO." Daniel turned to his aunt, and his expression hardened. You mean I can't be successful because my mother is a nurse, because we don't live in a mansion? A guest near us held up his phone. This is definitely him. Look at these pictures. Daniel Carter at the Tech Innovation Summit. Daniel Carter receiving the Entrepreneur of the Year award. Daniel Carter donating $5 million to children's hospitals. More phones came out. The murmuring grew into open conversation. Natalie looked like she might faint. Bradley, her groom, whispered urgently in her ear. Eleanor's face went through several shades of red. If we had known we would have treated you differently. Daniel's laugh was sharp and bitter. That's exactly the problem, Aunt Eleanor. You would have treated us differently if you knew I was wealthy. You should have treated us with respect regardless. He turned to address the entire room, his voice carrying clearly. My mother raised me alone after my father died. She worked herself to exhaustion to give me opportunities. She never complained. She never asked anyone for help, especially not from family who looked down on her. Eleanor's mouth opened and closed soundlessly. She taught me that wealth means nothing if you don't have character, that how you treat people, especially when you think they can't do anything for you, reveals who you really are. Today, you've all shown me exactly who you are. Pamela, Eleanor's friend, who had condescended to me earlier, tried to interject. Daniel, I think you're being dramatic. He turned to her. Am I? You told my mother that nursing was a humble job, as if caring for sick people is beneath you. As if the woman who saves lives is less valuable than someone who just spends money. Pamela's face flushed. A man in an expensive suit, one of Gerald's business associates, spoke up. Now, young man, I'm sure everyone meant well. Did they? Daniel gestured around the room. My mother and I were put at the worst table in the room. We were mocked for our clothes. We were told to be grateful we were even invited. All because you thought we had nothing to offer. Natalie tried to salvage the situation. Look, fine, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend anyone. I found my voice. It came out steadier than I expected. You're not sorry for what you did, Natalie. You're sorry for who we turned out to be. Natalie's eyes widened. I stood up, Daniel beside me. If Daniel had walked in here tonight, and you'd known he was wealthy, you would have seated us at the head table. You would have introduced us to everyone. You would have bragged about our connection. Eleanor reached out. Faye, please, let's discuss this privately. Family shouldn't air things in public. I looked at my sister. Really looked at her. She was 58 years old, beautiful in her expensive dress and jewelry, but her eyes held panic, not remorse. Now we're family, my voice carried across the silent room. When you thought I was poor and struggling, I wasn't worth your time. Now that my son is successful, suddenly you want to talk. That's not fair. Fair. Something broke open inside me. Years of hurt, years of being diminished, years of reaching out only to be pushed away. You want to talk about fair. I sent you a card when Gerald's company won that business award. I called every year on your birthday. I invited you to Daniel's high school graduation, his college graduation. Did you come? Did you even call? Eleanor looked at the floor. You were always too busy, I continued. Too busy with your important friends and your fancy parties. But I kept trying. Do you know why? Because I remembered my sister. The one who braided my hair when we were kids. The one who told me we'd always have each other's backs. My voice broke, but I pushed on. That person is gone. Money didn't just change your lifestyle, Eleanor. It changed who you are. I turned to face the crowd of expensive dresses and designer suits. All of you judging us by our clothes, our car, where we sat. You don't know anything about us. I pointed to Daniel. My son built his success from nothing. He earned scholarships while working 20-hour weeks at a grocery store. He started his company in a garage with money he saved from those part-time jobs. He did it with integrity and kindness, treating every person he met with respect. My hand was shaking, but I kept it raised. And he never forgot where he came from. He never forgot the value of hard work, of humility, of treating people like they matter, regardless of their bank account. I looked at Natalie. I hope one day you learn that real class has nothing to do with price tags. Daniel placed his hand on my shoulder. My mother is the strongest, most compassionate person I know. She's saved hundreds of lives as a nurse. She volunteers at homeless shelters on her days off. She's given money she couldn't spare to help people she barely knew. He looked directly at Eleanor. What have you done with your wealth, Aunt Eleanor, besides use it to make others feel small? Eleanor had no answer. Daniel addressed the crowd again. I've been to hundreds of events with wealthy people. I've met billionaires and world leaders. Most of them earned my respect through their actions and their character. But this is the ugliest display of privilege I've ever witnessed. A man near the back, one of the wedding guests, called out, "You're being too harsh. We're just trying to celebrate." "Celebrate what?" Daniel shot back. "Your ability to exclude people. Your talent for making others feel worthless. My mother came here hoping to reconnect with her sister. She dressed in her best clothes, drove an hour and a half, and smiled through being humiliated. For what? For family. For the idea that blood means something." The room was utterly silent now. Natalie's eyes were red. "Fine, I apologize. Can we move on now? This is my wedding day." I shook my head. "You're not sorry, Natalie. You're embarrassed. There's a difference." Eleanor stepped forward, desperation creeping into her voice. "Faye, please, let's talk about this privately. We're making a scene." "I'm making a scene." I felt something shift inside me. That crack in the dam widened. "I've been silent my entire life, Eleanor. Silent when you stopped calling. Silent when you didn't come to important events. Silent when you made it clear I wasn't good enough for your world. But I'm done being silent." I turned to Eleanor, fully facing her. "Do you remember Mum's funeral?" Eleanor flinched. "You stood in the back. You left before the reception. You didn't help me sort through her things or make arrangements. You sent a check and disappeared. I was busy with the business. You're always busy. Do you remember when Daniel was 8 and broke his arm? I called you from the emergency room terrified, and you said you'd come by later. You never showed up. Faye, that was years ago. It was every time, Eleanor, every single time. I reached out and you pulled away. But I kept trying because you're my sister. I thought that mattered." Daniel stepped beside me. "It should have mattered. Mom defended you for years. She made excuses for you. She told me you were just busy, just stressed, just focused on your own family. She never said a bad word about you." Eleanor's carefully composed expression crumbled. Around us, guests shifted uncomfortably. Several were recording on their phones. I knew this would be online within hours. Part of me should have cared, but I was too tired to care anymore. Bradley, the groom, whispered to Natalie, "Maybe we should apologize properly." But Natalie's pride wouldn't let her. "At my own wedding, I'm supposed to humiliate myself at my own wedding." "You humiliated yourself," I said quietly. "We didn't do this to you. You did it to yourself." Daniel turned to the driver. "Please bring the car around." "Yes, sir." As the driver left, Eleanor grabbed my arm. "Wait, please, can't we start over? Maybe have lunch next week and talk things through." I looked at her hand on my arm. Perfectly manicured nails, diamond rings on 3 fingers. I used to envy those hands. Now I just felt sad. "Start over." I pulled my arm free gently. Starting over requires both people to change, Eleanor. I've spent 20 years trying to maintain our relationship. I've changed my schedule, my plans, my expectations over and over to accommodate you. Have you changed at all? She opened her mouth, closed it. "No," I answered for her. "You haven't, and you won't, because even now looking at Daniel, I can see it in your eyes. You're not seeing your nephew. You're seeing a business opportunity, a connection you can use." Eleanor's face went red. "That's not true. Isn't it? If Daniel was still just a guy in simple clothes with a simple job, would you be asking me to lunch?" The silence was answer enough. I took a breath. "I forgive you, Eleanor. I forgive you for all of it. Not because you deserve it, but because I deserve to be free of this. I've carried the weight of your rejection for too long. I'm putting it down now. You're really going to throw away our relationship over this?" "I'm not throwing it away. You threw it away years ago. I'm just finally accepting it." Daniel took my hand. We walked toward the exit. The crowd parted for us automatically. Some faces showed respect, others showed shame. A few still looked confused, trying to reconcile the poor relatives with the truth. As we reached the door, I heard Natalie burst into tears. Not tears of remorse, but tears of wounded pride. Her perfect wedding, her perfect day had been exposed for what it really was. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt empty. And then gradually I felt something else. Something light. Freedom. The limousine was even more impressive up close. Black, sleek with tinted windows. The driver opened the door for us. I hesitated. "Daniel, this is too much. Mom, just get in, please." Inside the seats were soft leather. There was a small bar dimmed lights climate control. It felt like being in a different world. As the car pulled away from Seaside Cliff Resort, I looked back once. Through the window, I could see guests clustering, talking animatedly. Eleanor stood alone near the entrance, Gerald beside her, now both looking shell-shocked. "I should feel something," I said. "Satisfaction, victory, something." Daniel sat beside me, still holding my hand. "Do you?" "No, I just feel sad. Sad for her. Sad for all those years we lost. That's because you're a good person, Mom. A better person than she deserves." I turned to him. "Why didn't you tell me, really?" He was quiet for a moment, watching the coastline pass by through the window. "When I started making money, real money, my first instinct was to tell you everything. I wanted to buy you a house, a new car, pay off every debt you had. But then I stopped and thought about what would happen." "What do you mean, Mer? You would have been happy for me. I know that. But then you would have felt guilty. Guilty for all the years you struggled. Guilty for the times you couldn't afford things I wanted. You would have tried to minimize your own needs even more. And you would have changed." "Changed how?" "You would have felt obligated to live differently, to accept help. And I know you, Mom. You're fiercely independent. You're proud. Not proud like Aunt Eleanor, but proud in the way that means you want to earn everything yourself. I didn't want to take that from you." Tears rolled down my cheeks. "But 6 years, Daniel. 6 years of you being successful and me not knowing." "I know. And I'm sorry. But I wanted you to see me as just Daniel. Your son. Not Daniel the CEO or Daniel the millionaire. Just me. I've only ever seen you as my son." "I know. That's why I couldn't tell you. Because you're the only person in my life who sees me that way. Everyone else, once they know what I do, what I'm worth, they change. They want something. They treat me differently. But you never did." I wiped my eyes. "I still would have appreciated knowing." He smiled slightly. "Would you have kept working double shifts? Of course. Would you have let me buy you things? Probably not. Would you have worried constantly about me, about whether I was working too hard, whether the stress was too much?" I had to laugh through my tears. "Yes, I would have driven you crazy. That's why I didn't tell you. I wanted you to keep being you. Keep saving lives. Keep helping people. Keep living your life without feeling like you had to change because of me." We sat in silence for a while. The driver navigated smoothly through traffic, heading back toward the city. Finally, I said, "You called him, didn't you?" "The driver. You called him when Natalie's friends were laughing at us." "Yes. I'd planned to get through the wedding quietly. But when I heard what they said to you, when I saw how they treated you, I couldn't stay silent anymore. I called my assistant, told her to send the car immediately. You wanted to make a point. I wanted them to see what they missed, what they threw away. Not just me, but you. They missed the chance to know an incredible person because they were too busy looking at price tags. I'm not incredible. I'm just a nurse. Mom." He turned to face me fully. "You raised me alone. You worked yourself to exhaustion. You gave me every opportunity you could. You never complained. You never gave up. You taught me everything I know about strength, resilience, and compassion. If that's not incredible, I don't know what is." I sobbed, then really sobbed, all the emotion of the day pouring out. Daniel held me while I cried the way I'd held him through nightmares and scraped knees and heartbreaks when he was young. When I finally stopped, I felt lighter. Emptied out, but lighter. "What happens now?" I asked. "Whatever you want. I have a surprise for you, actually. I bought a house. For yourself. For you." "Daniel, no, I can't accept that." "Mom, you're accepting it. It's done. The deed is already in your name. It's nothing extravagant, just a small 3-bedroom in a safe neighborhood. Garden in the back. Porch where you can sit and have your morning coffee. Close to the hospital, so you don't have that long commute anymore." "Daniel, please, let me do this one thing. You've given me everything. Let me give you something back." I wanted to argue. My pride wanted to refuse. But looking at his face, at the hope and love there, I couldn't. "Okay," I whispered. "Okay." His smile was brighter than anything I'd seen all day. 2 days later, Eleanor called. I let it go to voicemail. Then she called again, and again. After the 5th call, I listened to the message. "Faye, please call me back. People are harassing us online. Someone posted video from the wedding, and it's gone viral. They're leaving terrible reviews for Gerald's company. Natalie is devastated. Her in-laws are furious. Can you please ask Daniel to make a statement, to tell people it was all a misunderstanding?" I deleted the message. Daniel found me in the kitchen of my apartment that evening. "Was that Aunt Eleanor?" "Yes." "What did she want?" "She wants us to fix her reputation." "Do you want to?" I thought about it. Part of me, the part that had spent years trying to please Eleanor, wanted to help. But a stronger part, a newer part, knew better. "No, she made her choices. She can live with the consequences." Daniel nodded. "I'm proud of you, Mom." A week later, I moved into the new house. It was perfect. Not too big, not too fancy, just comfortable and safe. Daniel had furnished it, simply knowing my taste. The bedroom had a view of a small garden. The kitchen had modern appliances. The living room had space for the pictures and mementos I'd collected over the years. I hung a photo of Tom, Daniel's father, on the mantel. Next to it, I placed a photo of Daniel at his college graduation, smiling in his cap and gown. Daniel came over for dinner every Wednesday. We'd cook together, talk about our weeks, just be together. Those evenings became my favorite time. Life went on. I kept working at the hospital. My patients needed me, and I needed the work. It gave me purpose. Daniel tried to convince me to retire, but I wasn't ready. "Mom, you could volunteer, travel, do anything you want." "I am doing what I want," I told him. "I'm not ready to stop yet." 3 months after the wedding, I ran into Eleanor at the grocery store. I was in the produce section picking out apples when I heard her voice. "Faye." I turned. She looked different, older somehow. Her makeup wasn't as perfect. Her clothes were still expensive, but not as pristine. "Eleanor, can we talk?" "Just for a minute." I wanted to say no, but curiosity won. 5 minutes. We walked outside to the parking lot, standing by my car. My new car, actually. Daniel had insisted, and this time I'd let him. A modest sedan, reliable and safe. Eleanor noticed. "New car." "Yes." She was quiet for a moment. "Gerald and I are divorcing." I didn't know what to say to that. The business took a hit after the wedding. Several partners pulled out. Our social circle, they all saw the videos. They took sides, mostly not ours. She laughed bitterly. "Turns out when you're not on top anymore, those friends disappear fast." "I'm sorry." "Are you really?" I considered. "Yes, I never wanted you to suffer, Eleanor. I just wanted you to see me, to value me. That's all I ever wanted." Her eyes filled with tears. "I know, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. For everything. For all the years of pushing you away, for treating you like you weren't good enough. You deserved better. You always deserved better." "I did," I agreed softly. "Can you forgive me?" "I already have." Hope flashed across her face. "So we can start over, be sisters again." I looked at her, really looked at her. I saw the desperation there, but I also saw that she was asking not out of genuine change, but out of need. She'd lost her social standing, her marriage, her daughter's respect. Now she wanted family back because she had nowhere else to turn. "I've forgiven you," I said. "But forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. I've learned that I can wish you well, hope you find peace, and still keep my distance. Faye, please, I have no one. That's not my responsibility, Eleanor. You spent 20 years pushing me away. I can't fix 20 years in one conversation. So that's it. You're just done with me. I'm done letting you hurt me. There's a difference." I opened my car door. "I hope you find what you're looking for. I really do. But I can't be the one to give it to you." I drove away watching her in the rearview mirror. She stood in the parking lot, looking lost. I felt sad for her, but I didn't feel guilty. That was progress. 6 months after the wedding, I joined a book club at the local library. 8 women all around my age meeting every other Tuesday. We'd discuss books, drink coffee, and talk about life. None of them knew about Daniel's success. None of them knew about the wedding. I was just Faye the nurse who loved mysteries and historical fiction. One of the women, Margaret, became a close friend. She was a retired teacher, widowed like me, with a dry sense of humor and a kind heart. "You seem peaceful," she told me one day, as we walked through the park after book club. "Like you've let go of something heavy." "I have," I said. "Want to talk about it?" I told her some of it. Not everything, but enough. She listened without judgment. "Family is complicated," she said when I finished. "Sometimes the family we choose is more important than the family we're born with. I'm learning that." She linked her arm through mine. "Well, you've got me now, and I'm not going anywhere." I started volunteering more at the homeless shelter. Every Saturday morning, I'd help serve breakfast and sort donations. One morning, I met a young woman named Angela. She was 28 with a 5-year-old son living in her car. She reminded me of myself years ago. Struggling, scared, but determined. I started mentoring her, helped her find resources, connected her with job opportunities, babysat her son when she had interviews. 3 months later, she got a job as a medical assistant and moved into a small apartment. "I don't know how to thank you," she said, tears in her eyes. "You don't have to thank me. Just keep moving forward, and someday when you're stable, help someone else who's struggling." "I will. I promise." Helping her helped me. It reminded me why I became a nurse in the first place, why I kept working, kept pushing, kept caring. Because everyone deserves compassion. Everyone deserves a chance. Daniel started a foundation. The Carter Family Foundation focused on helping single parents afford college for their kids. He asked me to be on the board. "I don't know anything about running a foundation," I protested. "You know everything that matters. You've lived it. Your voice needs to be heard." So I joined, and I loved it. Helping families seeing kids get opportunities they never thought possible. It filled something in me I hadn't known was empty. One evening, Daniel and I sat on my back porch watching the sunset. He'd brought dinner Chinese takeout from my favorite place. "Are you happy, Mom?" I thought about it, really thought about it. "Yes, I am. No regrets." "About what?" "About Eleanor, about how things ended." I sipped my tea. I used to think family meant blood, that I owed loyalty to people just because we shared parents. But I've learned that real family is the people who show up for you, who see you value, you stand beside you. Blood is just biology. So no regrets. No regrets. She made her choices. I made mine. I can't control her, but I can control how I respond. And I choose peace. He smiled. "Dad would be proud of you." "He'd be proud of you too. So proud." We sat in comfortable silence eating our lo mein and watching the sky turn orange and purple. Later that night, alone in my house, I thought about everything that had happened. The wedding, the confrontation, the freedom that followed. I don't hate Eleanor. I don't even resent her anymore. Holding on to anger only hurts yourself. She has to live with the choices she made, and I have to live with mine. The difference is, I can sleep at night. I chose to love without conditions. I chose to work with dignity. I chose to raise my son with values that matter more than money. Did it make life harder? Yes. Would I change it? No. Eleanor chose status over substance. She chose wealth over warmth. And now she's learning that you can't buy genuine connection. You can't purchase respect. Those things have to be earned through how you treat people, especially when you think they have nothing to offer you. I've learned so much this past year. I've learned that forgiveness doesn't require reconciliation, that you can wish someone well and still protect yourself, that letting go isn't giving up, it's choosing peace. I've learned that real wealth isn't in your bank account, it's in the people who love you, the lives you touch, the kindness you show. I've learned that dignity can't be taken from you, it can only be given away. Most importantly, I've learned that I don't need validation from people who don't value me. I spent decades craving Eleanor's approval, her acceptance. I thought if I was patient enough, kind enough, she'd finally see me. But some people are so focused on what they think you should be, they never see who you actually are. And that's okay, because I see myself now. I see my worth, not in designer clothes or fancy cars or expensive weddings, but in the love I gave my son, in the patience I helped, in the lives I touched with small acts of kindness. Daniel asked me last week if I'd ever speak to Eleanor again. I told him I don't know. Maybe one day if she genuinely changes. Not changes because she lost everything and needs something, but changes because she finally understands what really matters. But even if that day never comes, I'll be okay. Better than okay. I have my son who turned out to be an incredible man, despite or maybe because of our struggles. I have new friends who value me for who I am. I have work that gives me purpose. I have a peaceful home where I can rest without fear or stress. I have my self-respect. And in the end, that's more valuable than any inheritance, any family connection, any social status. Sometimes the greatest gift is realizing you don't need what you thought you wanted. I thought I needed Eleanor's love, her approval, her acknowledgement that I mattered, but I was looking for it in the wrong place. The love I needed was already there in Daniel's eyes, in the gratitude of my patience, in the mirror when I could finally look at myself without shame or doubt. I am enough. I always was. It just took a disastrous wedding and a black limousine to help me see it. Eleanor's choices revealed her character. My response revealed mine. And I'm finally at peace with both. The other day I was walking through the park near my house. A little girl, maybe 6 years old, ran past chasing a butterfly. She stumbled and fell, scraping her knee. Her mother rushed over, but the girl was already getting back up, brushing herself off. "I'm okay, Mama," she said. "It doesn't hurt that much." But I could see it did hurt. I could see her fighting tears. And I thought that's what I did for so long. Fell, got up, brushed myself off, said I was fine. Because I thought that's what strong people did. But real strength isn't pretending you're not hurt. Real strength is acknowledging the pain and choosing to move forward anyway. It's setting boundaries. It's saying no. It's walking away from people who diminish you, even if they're family. I'm still learning this. Some days are easier than others. Some days I wonder if I was too harsh, if I should have given Eleanor another chance. But then I remember her eyes at the grocery store. I remember that she only reached out when she needed something. And I know I made the right choice. Daniel tells me I'm inspirational. I don't feel inspirational. I feel like a woman who finally got tired of being treated poorly and decided to stop accepting it. But if my story helps even one person find the courage to set boundaries, to value themselves, to walk away from toxicity, then maybe the pain was worth it. Have you ever felt invisible in your own family? Have you ever been judged for things that don't define your worth? Drop a comment and let me know your story. And if this resonated with you, please hit that like button and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more real stories about finding strength in difficult situations. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it reminds you that you are valuable, worthy, and enough exactly as you are. May you find the courage to walk away from anyone who makes you feel otherwise. May you discover the peace that comes from finally putting yourself first. And may you always remember that true family is built on love and respect, not obligation or biology. Take care of yourselves. You deserve it.